fellas, and entertainment news, and it's sad news in the sense that, and this is a sad or yeah, it talking about another death in hip hop. Um, PNB Rock, I believe, was just recently murdered not too long ago. Um, Dinner with his family. Um, you know, shot him down in front of chicken and waffle spot. Um, with this type of topic, we want to bring in um, a guest host, kind of chop it up with us, talk about um, violence in hip hop and how young rappers aren't making it to the age of 30. And it seems that as hip hop has grown older and older, the violence has become a little bit more prevalent and more dramatic. Um, welcome to the room. We need the fifth. Kyle, welcome, brother. How's everything?
It's good. What's going on, fellas?
Yo, there we go.
On?
It's good, boys.
Not much, man. Can't complain. Good to see y'all.
Good to be.
Talking about rappers, man, not making it to 30 um in hip hop. Um and it's something that's been around in hip hop since its beginning. Um Phil, you were talking about one of the first hip hop legends to be shot was shot in 85, 87.
Yeah,
Scott,
87 at age 25. Yeah, Scott
yeah,
LaRock.
Skylar Rock.
Scott, yeah. And then as we move into the 90s, we talk about Biggie and Pop. And at that time, it was the media had labeled it as an East Coast, West Coast thing. But I think that was more sensational headlines and trying to sell newspapers rather than um, reporting on the actual facts on the ground. Now, in this new era, with this new generation of rappers, is it is there a East Coast West Coast thing going on in rap? Is there a, a beef, a war going on in rap? Because we're seeing so many young rappers die right now. You know, in the last couple of years, I think we've had 3 or 4 prominent rappers die from gun violence of some form. Um, Phil, you can speak on more of this because you're a little bit more connected to the new generation of rappers than I am.
I mean, just going off a few, Pop Smoke, King Born, FBG Duck. The list continues. What you contributed to? I mean, the Chicago scene is much different. So I'll keep the Chicago rappers out of it because there's a lot of history there. But the PNB Rocks and the Pop Smoke ones, I think it stands out to me as a little bit more troubling because it seems that it could have been prevented from a standpoint of self-awareness. But once again, it's always hard for me to feel that way because regardless of what you're doing, you're never asking to become a victim. But yet we're still asking for that self-awareness from these people. And then PNB Rock with the jewelry and I guess $500,000 worth of jewelry and flashy and
all right, let me push back on that for a little bit just to give you a counterpoint. A lot of people will say, hey, rappers like PNB Rock are often criticized when they don't come back to the hood and show support for local businesses or what have you, and spend their money in their neighborhoods. Now that he's come back, he's not safe in that hood, you know. And how do we deal with that conundrum, you know, of hey, we want our young stars, our young um rappers to come back to the neighborhood that gave birth to them, that that nurtured their talent, and what you call it. But we want them to be aware that they can be a victim at any time in that neighborhood. I don't know. I think we lost Hill. Did we lose Kyle as well?
Hill's still here. No, it's one of those things where of course you feel like you shouldn't have to have security, but reality is you do. Unfortunately, as we're seeing time and time again, you do have to have security. You do have to move differently. Um, you know, that's just what it is. Like you go to certain places, you have to move in a certain way because the so-called have-nots. You walk around, and I'm not saying any specific rapper or any specific person. This could happen to anybody. But if you walk around with luxurious things, whether it be a chain or even if you drive an expensive car, what have you, you know, to be frank, the have-nots looking at you like you're food. We could talk all day. Oh, is that right or is it wrong? Of course, we think it's wrong and it shouldn't happen. But obviously, at this point, it continues to happen. So you have to take the necessary steps, to prevent, this thing that's happening, especially in recent history to a lot of young rappers.
Now let me ask you guys this, and this just popped in my head. It's a random thought. In the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, the major sports leagues, for their rookies, they usually have like a rookie symposium where they have the older vets kind of come in and talk about, hey, the pitfalls of being a professional athlete, some of the things that they should be aware of, some of the things that they should get handled right away, whether it be just simple business matter as far as getting yourself a good lawyer, good accountant, um, being aware of the pitfalls of what can happen on the road and off the field of play. Do you think record labels at this point in time, especially considering the history of hip hop and the violence in hip hop, have a responsibility to their artists to provide some type of symposium or training for them on how to deal with success or how to deal with their community as far as, hey, being safe, safe regarding their own safety and also regarding how they can give back responsibly. Do do record labels have that responsibility to these artists now
If
because
you
of
look,
what we're seeing?
morality wise, yes. Business wise, no. Record labels are taking out insurance policies on these artists. That should tell you everything you need to know about how the record labels are looking at these artists' death. They're taking out policies. So,
I'm past a moral standpoint on that as well. I think from a business standpoint, you're signing these rappers for the sake of 9 times out of 10, the talent, but the entire package that goes with it. Pause. You know what I mean? Like where they're being bred is not your suburban, communities where these great talents are coming from. So 9 times out of 10, like I said, record labels are feeling like, wow, he's come from a harsh neighborhood background, survived this and that. We package it all together. That's the product that we're presenting to you. So we don't want a P from Westchester County, rapper. It doesn't give us that much. We need someone from a lower middle Bronx, Brooklyn, gritty, grimy, that puts together that nature for us to market and sell. Good doesn't sell. So, like you said, with the record labels taking out insurance policies, and this is a recipe to me where it seems, I can't see why they would feel any type of morality to give these type of symposiums, which you were saying, Mo, to say like, I'm assigning to multi-million-dollars, but however, lose your image. I don't think that's gonna happen. Or be careful, or no, I think it's continue what you're doing. Just survive, because I need to continue to make money off of
Yeah, unfortunately, they're replaceable commodities.
you.
Scared.
I mean, that's just business. It's sad dynamic.
Yeah. Hold on, Kyle. You had something to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a business label, from a record label perspective, they're a business. I think a lot of the initiatives I'm talking about, and especially in sports, are started by the players. I think this is an initiative in the hip hop community that needs to be started by the artists. To expect the record labels to do that, I think is a bit unfair. I mean, I could understand why I can see why a record label would want to do that, because there is an investment there on their side that they would probably want to protect. But I think it's to the hip hop community. I think it's up to the older generation rappers to take a more proactive stance when it comes to these types of situations. We're at the point in hip hop where we have elder rappers, elder statesmen that can build movements and gather people together to kind of speak to these issues. And I think it really needs to start with the rappers.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but I feel like the younger rappers have to be willing to listen also, because I saw an interview with Ice-T talk about his relationship with Tupac and the gang culture in LA. So I mean, obviously and unfortunately, he didn't really receive what Ice-T was trying to tell him all the way. So it's a two-way street. I agree. Like the older generation and the rappers who already been through it and survived what these young guys are going to end up going through. But they have to be willing to give them the advice, but the young rappers have to be willing to receive that same advice.
And I hear you guys, and I agree with P in the sense that, hey, younger rappers have to be receptive to the advice and whatnot. But where I disagree is any record label that has the nerve to take out an insurance claim on any of these rappers, they better do a symposium at the very least. Now, whether the young rapper receives it or not, that's up to them. But you offer the service, you offer the information. If you got the nerve to take out an insurance claim on somebody that's not in your family, no, that's not acceptable. No way, nowhere else in America would that make sense except for the entertainment industry. Yeah. Imagine somebody, your boss coming to you and say, hey, I'm going to take a life insurance policy out on you, P.
Yeah. No, I
and
agree.
Then you ask him for what? And he says, and he has the means to provide you with some advice so that he might not need that life insurance policy on.
Well,
that's crazy.
The labels would have to, pay someone to give the advice. They don't. They're not going to give.
If you can pay for my insurance policy, you can pay for somebody to consult me.
Yeah, but I think what P was saying was that that younger group would have to be receptive to that message was coming out. And as you can see, a lot of these kids coming up are from disjointed, disenfranchised gangs. The hierarchy which were before is no longer existed. You know what I mean? It's more so if you had Bloods, Crips, Gangsta Disciples, Black Disciples, you had some sort of structure. Now it's just mainly blocks and what is going on. And there's pretty little to no respect for that elderly, that elderly knowledge for us, for me to get in, for me to get in line. I'm my own man. Nothing's going to tell me anything like that to that nature. You have to break through that, which is extremely difficult from the generation, I think, that preceded them. This generation is a little bit tougher to get to because it just seems more, I could be independent at age, it's way pushed now, at age 14, 15 in some of these places.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me anything. So, I mean, that dynamic of finding that person to do that, which, I'm sure they've been trying in these different states. It's not easy at all. So, but again, we need effort. I totally understand that, but you're dealing with a different type of, for lack of a better term, a different type of beast now.
Yeah, it's just that, like I said, I'm uncomfortable with any record label that spend money, time, and effort to get a life insurance policy on somebody and not spend that same type of effort to find a consultant. I don't care if they're not ready to receive the message. Deliver the message anyway. Sooner or later, it'll catch on. It's just like, hey, dealing with children, little kids. Yeah, they might not listen to you right in that moment, but 2 hours later, they might say, oh, that's what daddy was talking about. Or,
Yeah.
oh, that's what mommy was talking about.
Bo, you have to understand, mommy and daddy care about the children. That's the difference.
Are y'all separating the issues in the hip hop community with the issues in the Black community in general?
No.
Are we saying like, are we just saying like symposiums are gonna solve the problems?
What I'm saying is that, hey, you give cats that are on the path of success, you tell them what success really means and what the transition should be for their lifestyle. You're not the same guy we found on the block looking for a deal. You have the deal now. You have the money. Now your lifestyle should change. Some of your habits need to change. Or if you're going to go back to the hood, this is how you do it. You bring a security detail. Simple information like that. Now, that doesn't erase the issues that are going on in the community. That's a totally different subject in itself. But I'm saying, hey, for a record label that I'll spend money on an insurance policy on that rapper, you can't spend money to find a consultant for that rapper?
I mean, if you're saying it that way, then the record company, forget finding a consulting company, record company should provide them with security then, if that's the case. Cut that.
Even better.
Don't even
yeah.
Get a security company, just provide them with security. But, I mean, it's hard to pretty much break down the fact of machismo. A lot of times having a security team around you, in the eyes of these young kids, and I mean young kids from the age of 19 to 25, which we're seeing, or 19 to 30, which we have cut off, it's a sign of being less than a man that you can't go into a regular place without I mean, you have to break that dynamic down first from a lot of these entertainers. So, and I'm just sticking strictly with rap. Like this could have happened to, I'm sure, and it does happen to R&B singers, any type of people, because I mean, movie stars are actually becoming victims now out there in California. But for rappers in general, you have to break that dynamic of saying, hey, it's nothing less of you to go with the security detail that I'm supplying you. I feel better that way. 9 times, I mean, I don't know. I can't give, I'm stop saying 9 times out of 10. I just don't know if going into certain places, like say, if a hometown, if I to go back into Mount Vernon, if I would say, I don't think I would need something like that. And you should have it. You should have a security detail. What are you saying? I'm home. I don't want to come back to my hometown and show that I need security to return to my hometown. And that dynamic plays a part. And a lot of these rappers, they don't want to be seen like that.
Let me ask you guys this. Do we think, is there a problem with hip hop in the sense that we're not able to separate the entertainer from the source of entertainment? And what I mean by that is, like Robert De Niro, he plays gangsters all the time, but there's no gangster approaching him like, oh, you think you're a gangster, as opposed to like PNB Rock or Nipsey Hussle, where hey, cats are approaching them like they testing them like, oh, you a gangster? I'm gonna treat you like a gangster or a
No,
rival gangster.
no,
Is there, uh, you know, are we taking rappers too seriously, or is the hood taking rappers too seriously in the sense that believing that oh they're the gangsters that they're rapping about and
I,
taking it to the
I,
next extreme?
opposite, actually. I think the generation which we love so much with Jay-Z and Nas and everything, when they painted those stories of what they would do and what they could do, for lack of a better term, now these rappers coming up was saying all the people that you love was cat. You know what I'm saying? All that gun shooting and gun toting that they have, one person might have did that. These cats that are coming up now live this.
yeah.
And when they're rapping it, it's coming out in their wax. So it's pretty much saying, no, that's nice that you guys are able to tell me these things, what I should and should be doing. But the stuff that you were saying in your raps, I actually did. So I think it's a sad state of affairs what today's rappers have to go through and the PTSD that they deal with. But who are? I mean, it's weird. I mean, our generation, we love our music from the 90s and 2000s, but it's nothing compared to what we have now with the 18 to 30-year range, because they are actually living out their wax. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, like, you know, the stick-up kids or whoever, I don't think they care. I just want that chain. I just want what you have. If you're fake or not,
Mhm.
you need to offer that. You know what I mean? We know Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are actors.
But
You know what I mean?
even
Know that.
but even to your point, P, like the stick up kid, like in the 90s, generation of rappers that I listened to, which like for example, we heard of rappers getting robbed in the whole nine and
Mm-hmm.
being able to walk away from the robbery. You know, we've heard of rappers being escorted to the ATM so that they could pull out money
Right.
and was able to walk away from it. Nowadays, it's like, hey, those stick up kids, it seems like they're shooting first and maybe they'll take your chain afterwards if they can get away with it. You know,
Right.
so where does that escalation come from? You know what I mean? Where hey, it's not just about robbing someone because hey, for PNB Rock, I'm sure they could have robbed him without killing him.
Right.
It's like it seems like it's more about killing these guys than actually taking their thing.
Yeah, but my reputation is me. I mean, you want to hear that? My reputation means more than your life.
Hmm.
You know, this is just what I do. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it might be hard to digest, but unfortunately, I get it. I really do.
Yeah, it's horrible, but you know, the stick-up kid, unfortunately, the one that murders the person, you don't gotta worry about that person coming back. It sounds horrible. I get it. You know, I get it. It sounds horrible, but you know, you don't really have to worry about get back. It's vicious. You know what I mean? I think generation is a little bit more vicious than our generation, to be honest with you, as far as robbing and killing.
Yeah, and I think there's more of a realistic checkpoint list from now becoming a rapper coming up now. You didn't need that before. People went on, I mean, straight hyperbole. You know, you do it. The Coochie Rap we thought had maybe 48 guns when he walked around. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think of Fredro Starr, all these people, guns, shooting. They're actors, stand-up guys. You know, very rarely did you hear that the rap equated to the life. You know, you had a few where you said, you know, I know he's a rapper, but wow, he really, shot people. Now, in rap, the prerequisites of you being a gangster rapper or a drill rapper, you have to have some type of file on you, some way, somehow.
Yeah, and I think the irony in this generation, the three top rappers are J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and Drake.
Mm-hmm.
who are the opposite of what we're talking about. So it's very odd to me that a lot of young rappers will take that route of, you know, the drill music or whatever, or, you know, just the, you know, the gangster rap, whatever you want to call it, where the three biggest stars in the genre are not that.
Because they're that middle. I think they're the tailwind of the old school rap that we like. They caught that and they still have some of that flavor. And they're still young enough to catch the young group. But I still believe those three, which you said, are now could be categorized as alt rap, to be fair. I mean, like, I don't see, I speak to quite a few young kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them saying like, yo, they'll say like, yeah, nah, I mean, Drake is cool and J. Cole is cool and Kendrick is cool. They'll say that is cool.
Mm-hmm.
What I like. But
right.
this, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they give that alt rap feel to this generation.
Wow.
So
let me ask you guys this. I already probably know the answer already, but are there any answers to this situation? Are there any solutions that we could put in place right now, or that hip hop could put in place, or try to crusade toward to kind of slow down the violence in hip hop? Pete,
somebody want to go?
Pete, what you think?
I don't think there's just a one solution. Like, you know what I mean? I understand the question. Like, I don't think it's like just like one thing. You know what I mean? It's numerous things. It's, you could say household, the father and the mother in the household. You could say the radio playing these violent songs, the message. And not to say all these things are the reason. You know what I mean? There's just so many different variables. I don't think there's just one solution.
Phil, any solutions?
Yeah, sure. Everything that Pete said, I mean, you could tap in from the entertainment side, from the other elderly hip hop, you know, have some type of fun where you're saying we're going to pump money into the social economic standpoint in which these kids are growing up from birth. And said they need to see it from birth that it's not that tough, because you're living in situations which are downright having the 8 ball against them off top. So if you catch them from an early age and groom them, you have a chance. But even with socioeconomics, education, family structure being tight, good self-awareness of who they are and who they could become. If you put all that together and say that's the basis, you still have, which Nas said, at every given moment, you can go right for all those factors. But when Nas said that props is a true thug's wife, no matter wherever you get, I don't care wherever, school or wherever you be, you're still going to have someone who wants to show that they're the alpha male. And then you'll have the split ups. It's just to certain degrees in different places, whether it be low economic society, middle class, or wealthy, you still have those factions to which there's an alpha male that stands out, someone who doesn't like him, and then you have friction. It's just that depending on the money you have, you know, you're able to say, if you're wealthy, I could brush it off. He's an idiot. Middle class, you could say it's unfortunate, but it turns very violent when you don't have, you know, the economics to deal with, you know, the frustrations.
So basically, we have to change the world, change
Yeah,
our communities.
it
You
is.
know what I mean? How?
Absolutely, there's no other way. It has to be where you come up since birth, out the womb, and you're seeing something totally different from what you're given. I mean,
and we have to. Our communities have to get better. You know, as far as supporting each other,
right.
And helping that to come about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So it's not just the entertainment industry thing.
No, not at all.
It's a everybody thing. Everybody needs to get on board and be a part of the process.
You know, it's a sad
affect change.
Rest in peace to all those that we lost. I mean, death just affects everyone in their family, not just, you know, their immediate. So my condolences to all who's lost their life to no violence.
Definitely.
Hey, hit us up on social media. Let us know what you think. What do you guys think could be possible solutions to the situation in hip hop where we're losing young rappers way too soon? Hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're here on YouTube, and you can email us directly at WeNeeda5th@gmail.com.